BK Group PLC will present its unaudited financial results for the first quarter of 2026. So thank you for all taking the time to join us today. And a special thank you for our members in the media for honoring our invitation. My name is Daniela Nyamngasa, and I'll be your moderator for this session. So today we have the privilege of hearing from BK Group leadership, who will share key insights into the group's and its subsidiaries' performance. And joining us today are Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, the CEO of BK Group PLC, Dr. Diane Karusisi, the CEO of Bank of Kigali, Anita Umuhire, the CFO of Bank of Kigali, Ange Hiranyibagirwa, the Group Head of Finance, and Hugues Kaigamba, the Head of Investor Relations. So now, without further ado, I would like to welcome the BK Group CEO, Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Daniela. Good afternoon, Mwiriwe. Dear members of the media, welcome to our Q1 press conference. We are delighted to share with you and through you to the wider audience the BK Group financial results for Q1 2026. Let me start by a brief on the macroeconomic environment in which we operated in Q1. We start the year 2026 with a strong momentum of the high economic growth of 9.4% that the Rwandan economy achieved in 2025. However, as you are aware, since the late February 2026, the world economy has been facing consequences of the conflict in the Middle East, which affects the Middle East region directly, but also the rest of the world indirectly. Globally, inflation has been increasing very fast since the start of the Middle East conflict due to high increase of fuel prices as a result of disruptions in oil supply in the Strait of Hormuz. However, despite the challenging global and the national macroeconomic environment, the Rwandan economy remains strong and resilient. In Q1, inflation in Rwanda rose from 8.9% in January to 9.2% in February and 13% in April this year. BNR reacted by increasing the policy rate from 7.25 to 8.25 on May 21st, 2026. We have observed a stable exchange rate. The Rwandan franc depreciation against US dollars has been relatively low, about 0.5%, since December 2025. We've seen also a strong growth in our exports of goods, around 63% in Q1 compared to Q1 last year, due mainly to higher export prices of coffee, tea, and minerals, which are our main export commodities. With regard to key consolidated results of Q1, the group achieved a net profit of 26.9 billion Rwanda francs from 25.2 billion achieved in Q1 2025, which represents an increase of 6.9%. Total assets increased by 13.1% from 2.6 trillion to 2.9 trillion, and the shareholders' equity increased by 12.7% from 463 billion to 522 billion. In terms of profitability metrics, return on average equity was about 20.9%, and return on average asset was 3.7%. Going forward, the group will maintain a disciplined execution of its strategy, focusing on customer centricity, product diversification, focus on retail, SME, and agribusiness segments, expansion of existing digital products, and the launch of new ones based on the new digital platform in place, as well as on maximizing intra-group synergies. I would like now to invite the CEO and the CFO of the bank to give more details on the bank's performance in the first quarter 2026. As usual, prior to that, maybe I can summarize briefly in Kinyarwanda. Nahere ku bukungu bwifashe kuko nabwo dushingiraho dutanga serivisi. Nk'uko mubizi twarangije umwaka ushize, ekonomi y'u Rwanda yarazamutse neza ku gipimo cya 9.4%, ariko nanone nk'uko mubizi mu mpera z'ukwa kabiri ubukungu bw'isi bwatangiye guhura n'ikibazo n'ingaruka z'intambara ireba ya Iran na Israel na Amerika, cyane cyane binyuze mu izamuka ry'ibiciro bikomoka kuri peteroli, byatumye ibiciro ku isi bizamuka mu bihugu byose harimo n'u Rwanda. Ariko nanone bigaragara ko nubwo hari ibyo bibazo by'ubukungu ku isi, ubukungu bw'u Rwanda bwakomeje kwihagararaho, kandi n'iteganya ry'ubukungu ry'izamuka ry'ubukungu muri uyu mwaka rigaragara ko buzazamuka nka 6.8% nk'uko mwabyumvise mu itangazo rya IMF muri misiyo iheruka mu Rwanda mu kwezi kwa kane. Ni muri iyo environnement rero twakoreyemo mu gihembwe cya mbere, urwunguko rwazamutse kuri 6.9%. Inguzanyo nazo zakomeje kuzamuka tugeza ku baturage kimwe n'amafaranga tubikira abakiriya. Tukaba twizera ko no mu gihe kiri imbere, dushingiye ku ngamba zijyanye no gukomeza kunoza serivisi z'abaturage, kwagura serivisi duha abaturage, harimo no kwihuta mu bijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga ndetse no kubyaza amahirwe amashami atandukanye agize group. Turizera ko tuzakomeza kugira umusaruro mwiza. Aha rero nk'uko nabisavuze, tugiye twakumva umuyobozi mukuru wa banki ndetse n'ushinzwe imari.
Murakoze, thank you very much, Dr. Ozia. I think you've summarized well the performance of the group for the first quarter of 2026. Maybe what I can share is that as a bank, we've continued to execute our strategy with discipline, despite all the distractions and everything that's happening in the world. The bank is focused on making sure our clients receive the best service possible, so they're also able to support in keeping the economy growing. So what I can say and add to what Dr. Ozial said is probably the diversification of our portfolio. As you know,
we started with a very concentrated loan portfolio, mainly lending to large companies. But over the years, we've been expanding our business to lend also to SMEs, individual clients, agriculture. And now the loan book stands at 55% for large companies, corporate, 21% for retail clients. These are individuals and families. Our SME loan book is at 17.7%, and agriculture, which is the newest product suite in the bank, stands at 5.5%. So we will continue, and we want to see corporate banking below the 50% mark. So we are sure that we are providing access to finance to segments that have been underserved so far. I also want to mention that we've kept expanding our digital infrastructure, and we are very happy to see many of our clients using the digital products that we offer. As we speak, we have over 63% of our clients using digital channels, which is something that is very positive. And for those who have seen, the traffic in our branches has been reducing, and we can serve much better the clients who come to our branches. So you can also look at our non-funded income, this is the fees and commissions we charge for our services. We've seen significant growth year on year at 29.2%. This shows that there's a lot of transactions happening at the branch, but more so on digital channels. And the volume of transactions has reached 6.5 million digital transactions for the quarter, valued at close to 4 trillion. So these transactions earn us fees and commissions that have helped us to improve our profitability. I think my closing is on the only downside of this past quarter is the asset quality that has deteriorated significantly from 2.9% at the end of last year to 4.8% in March 26. So this indicates that we have clients that are defaulting on their facilities. We are monitoring this closely, but this is probably the main culprit in the financial that are being presented today, where we have everything on the green apart from asset quality because of this high NPL. Normally, the central bank recommends that banks keep an NPL ratio below 5%. We are still below 5%, but our risk appetite is to be actually below 3%. And we'll keep working with these clients that are facing difficulties to see if they can come back to the green. So that's what I would say, and I would invite my colleague Anita to share more detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll share some key highlights of our financial performance for the first quarter of the year. As mentioned, we were able to deliver a strong, relatively strong performance that was represented by a profit after tax of 26.1 billion. That's around 3.5% higher than Q1 last year. So our primary growth engine was net interest income, which grew by 15.2% year on year to 56.6 billion. So there are two main reasons behind this. The first is on interest income itself, that grew to 70.4 billion as a result of the loan book growth that we've seen over the past year, of around 122 billion. At the same time, interest expense significantly reduced by 13.5%, reflective of the deliberate release of over 120 billion in term deposits to focus more on current accounts and CASA and savings accounts, which are of a lower cost to the bank. So this helped to release some pressure on our cost of funds, which reduced from 3.2% at Q1 last year to 2.4% this quarter. So this also significantly contributed to us being able to conserve our NIM, net interest margin, at around 8.8%. On non-funded income, as mentioned there, we had a bit of a mixed performance. Overall, non-funded income for the first quarter was 13.3 billion, which is 3.3% year-on-year growth. On one hand, our net fees and commission line itself performed quite well at 29.2% growth year-on-year, mainly driven by digital and transactional volume growth, as Dr. Diane mentioned. However, on FX income, there was a decline year-on-year of around 34.5%. And this was due to the comparative. The comparative is a little bit more elevated as it was prior to the regulatory tariff restructuring that we saw take place around May last year. So the FX year-on-year comparative will normalize towards the end of quarter two. Cost to income ratio for quarter one was 36.4%. Having improved from 41 was 36.4%, having improved from 41.6% at the end of last year. However, total costs have grown by 26% to 25.4 billion. There we can mention personnel costs that increased just less than 5%, and this is due to the accommodation of inflation-linked salary adjustments. However, on administrative and general expenses, there is a significant growth of almost 60% to 11.5 billion. And this is amidst the current global price pressures that we are all seeing, as well as some new statutory commitments that we have. On credit risk and asset quality, I think Diane touched on this. We booked around 6.6 billion in net impairment on loans and advances, which is about 3% higher than same time last year. So this resulted in a cost of risk of 1.5% and an overall NPL ratio of 4.8%, which is up from 2.9% at the end of last year. On the balance sheet and funding side, our total assets were 2.89 trillion, mainly funded by customer deposits of 1.895 trillion. With a loan book of 1.66 trillion, which was a little bit about 1% lower than last year due to some key attritions that are yet to be replaced. However, our capital strengthened. Our Tier 1 ratio rose to 19.5% from 19.1%, with a total capital adequacy ratio of 20.8%, comfortably above the regulatory minimum of 15.8%. I think I'll pause there and we'll be happy to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, CEOs and CFO Anita, for the detailed breakdown into the BK Group's performance and Bank of Kigali performance for the first quarter of 2026. I would like now to open up the floor to our members of the media. If you could tell us your name, the media house you represent, following with your question. So tugeze mu mwanya wo kwakira ibibazo, mwatubwira amazina yanyu, ikigo cy'itangazamakuru muhagarariye, ndetse tukakira n'ibibazo byanyu. Murakoze.
Murakoze, nitwa Eric Gatete, ndi umunyamakuru wa RBA. Muri presentation maze gukora irimo amakuru menshi atandukanye kandi ingenzi ku bakiriya ndetse no ku baturage muri rusange. Kimwe mu byo mwagarutseho harimo aho mwavuze yuko CEO wa BK yagarutse aho yavuze ko mu minsi ishize, mu myaka yashize, mwakoraga big portfolios, ama big companies, ariko ubu ngubu mwara decentralizinze, muramanuka mugera no kuri ku bakiriya batoya barimo agriculture, kuba SMEs 17, aba agriculture 5%. Muri iyi growth turi kubona how are they contributing, mhansubiza mu Kinyarwanda, bara contributing gute muri growth ya banke nka banke, ariko by'umwihariko nuko abaturage batoya babumva, kuko bavuga ni banke hari igihe bari abantu banini gusa iyo zitabaye za sako n'andi mabanki matoya, biri contribute gute uburyo abakiriya batoya babumva. Icya kabiri, twabonye mu minsi ishize, nyuma y'amezi 3 nadashyitse, tubona Central Bank zamura rate iva kuri 7.25 igera 8.25 nyuma yari growth yizamuye nyuma y'amezi abiri. How is it affecting your operations? Ese biri mu bijyagize uruhare muri iyi muri uko kumanuka tubonye mu kanya gatoya kwa 0.4 kuri deposits z'abaturage, ko twabonye ko ahandi byarazamutse, ariko kuri deposits muri presentation amaze kutwereka, amaze kutubwira tubonye ko yamanutseho 0.4. How is it kuzamuka iyi frequent raise ya bank rate, how is it affecting your day by day operations regarding the loans n'izindi operations mukora za buri munsi? Ese how are you coping? Thank you.
Murakoze cyane kuri ibyo bibazo mubajije. Nk'uko twahoze tubivuga, bank imaze iminsi igerageza kwegera abaturage no kwegera ibigo bito n'ibiciriritse. Nk'uko twabivuze, ibigo bito n'ibiciriritse bifite inguzanyo zigera kuri 17.7% biturutse nko kuri 10% mu myaka iri imbere. Bigaragaza ko hari improvement igaragara, kandi tubona ko nk'uko natwe twegera abaturage baratwumva. Iyo turebye ku bakiriya ku giti cyabo, abantu babankinga natwe, inguzanyo tubaha zigeze kuri 21%. Bigaragara ko dufite abakiriya benshi bakorana na banki ku giti cyabo. Ni ibintu bishimishije rero. Ni ukuvuga ko abantu bari muri communities baganira ko babankinga na beka, iyo bashaka inguzanyo yo kwiteza imbere begera banki bakayibona. Akenshi basigaye banayibona kuri telefone batagombye kuza kuri branch cyangwa kuri banki basabye inguzanyo kuri telefone bagahita babibona. Tubona ko ari ibintu bishimishije. Bituma n'abantu batwiyumvamo cyane. Kuko mubizi uyu mwaka beka irizihiza imyaka 60 ikora mu Rwanda. Turashaka ko mu myaka wenda 60 iri imbere umunyarwanda wose azajya yumva muri beka ku buryo yakwegera beka akabona service. Mwavuze kuri rate ya Central Bank yazamutse mu minsi ishize. Icyo bivuga ni uko ikiguzi cy'amafaranga cyariyongereye. Nuvuga ko nka beka iyo dushaka amafaranga kuri BNR wenda cyangwa ahandi twagombye kwishyura rate iri hejuru. Ubundi bigira impact no kuri profitability ya bank. Ubu ngubu ntabwo bank zo mu Rwanda ntabwo ziratangira kwishyuza abantu bafite inguzanyo no kongera rate ku nguzanyo, ariko turagenda tureba nibikomeza wenda nabyo bizaza, kuko ikiguzi cy'amafaranga cyariyongereye. Ikindi, bank nayo ni business nk'izindi. Iyo ibiciro bizamutse, kuko na bank nayo igura products na services nka business zose n'abantu bose, ikiguzi cyo gukora business kiriyongera, ku buryo nibimba ngombwa natwe tuzajya ku bakiriya bacu babwire kongera rate, ariko ntabwo turagera aho ngaho kuko tubona ko tugifitemo aka margin. So nibyo navuga. Ntabwo ari deposits zagabanutse, ahubwo ni loans zagabanutse. Twagize abakiriya bagiye bishyura inguzanyo bari bafitiye banki, bituma kandi ntabwo twashoboye kuyadeployinga ako kanya. Ariko muri kota ya kabiri, igihembwe cya kabiri, turabona ko business abantu batugana basaba inguzanyo, ku buryo y'amafaranga abakiriya batwishyuye tuzakomeza kuyadeployinga mu bandi bakiriya. Muzabona ko n'inguzanyo zizazamuka mu gihembwe cya kabiri. So nibyo navuga. Sinzi niba ari icyo Anita yakongeraho.
Murakoze Gatete kuri icyo kibazo. Twakomeza kwakira ibindi.
Murakoze. Nitwa Abdul Taribu, nkorera Kigali Today. Nagira ngo mbaze CEO wa group atubwire, mugaragaje urwunguko rwa group mu gihe isi imaze iminsi ihanganye n'ibibazo by'ubukungu, by'umwihariko ibiterwa n'intambara irimo kubera muri Iran bishingiye kuri peteroli. ibi ngibi mubisanisha mute n'urwunguko group yagize, cyane ko hari n'intego muba mwarihaye kugeraho mu gihembwe, muri buri gihembwe?
nibyo kwishimira ko ubukungu bwacu bumaze kwiyubaka, bufite ubudahangarwa resilience. Ntabwo biriya bibera ku isi bigira ingaruka ku bindi bihugu mu buryo butandukanye no ku gipimo gitandukanye bitewe n'uko n'ubukungu bwari busanzwe buhagaze, n'ingamba ibihugu bifata mu gushaka uburyo izo ngaruka zitaremera cyane. Nabonye nk'ibyo leta yafashe mu bijyanye n'ibiciro bya mazutu na essence, uburyo byazamutse ntabwo biri ku gipimo cy'uko byazamutse ku isi. Ikindi nabonye ko nka mazutu ikoreshwa mu bwikorezi bw'imizigo no gutwara abantu bitazamutse, kugira ngo nyine bitagira ingaruka no mu kuzamura ibiciro bisanzwe bisigaye byose, kubera ko ubwikorezi igiciro cyabyo kinjira mu kiguzi cy'ibicuruzwa bindi. Ikindi ni uko bifata na time n'igihe, bifata igihe kugira ngo izo ngaruka impact yayo yose igaragare, ku buryo rero itahita yigaragaza mu bikorwa byose, cyane cyane muri private sector, ariko bigenda bihererekanya ku buryo ingaruka zishobora kubaho ariko zitaremereye cyane, bitewe nuko n'ubundi ekonomi yari ihagaze, yari ifite ubwirinzi buhagije.
Good afternoon. My name is Alice Umtesi. I work for the New Times. My question goes to the CEO of Bank of Kigali, or the CFO. The CFO mentioned that a non-performing loans loan ratio rose from 4.8% up from 2.9 at the end of last year. And I want people to understand, is this a sign that customers are struggling to pay loans, and what sectors are leading to this?
So it's a good question. I think it's too early to say if it's a macroeconomic phenomenon. What we see is that these are individual clients that were facing issues that we knew. The sector that is most affected is the manufacturing sector. So manufacturing is a new sector in Rwanda. So most companies that have built plants to produce fast-moving goods, etc., some of them are struggling, and we've been working with them, and we hope that we can find a solution. But I think it's too early to say that it's affecting the economy at large. It's only a few clients that we're seeing. But in the next couple of months, we'll be able to see if there's a contagion into the whole economy. But for now, we believe it's a micro phenomenon, not a macro phenomenon. Thank you.
Murakoze. Ikindi ni kitajyanye cyane n'iyi presentation maze gukora, ariko gishobora kujya aho gihurira nayo. Ubwo duheruka hano turi gusoza umwaka wa 2025, mwari mwatubwiye kuri contribution y'ikindi cyizere BK girirwa hanze y'u Rwanda, aho mwagiye mushora izindi imbaraga muri mu bice bya South Africa, muri Zambia, mutubwira current mufiteyo. Muri ibi bihe mukurikije uko mugenda mwaguka nuko mwegera abakiriya batoya, aba bantu bari muri ibi bice diaspora n'abandi bari muri aho mwagiye mushora imbaraga nko mwari tubwiye last time, how are they contributing muri growth ya Beka, ariko by'umwihariko how are they contributing muri mu evaluate contribution yabo gute muri kota? Murakoze.
Urakoze, ni ikibazo cyiza. Nibyo koko twashinze unit ishinzwe diaspora, dufite abantu babishinzwe, abashinzwe diaspora yo mu Burayi, abashinzwe diaspora muri Afurika, abashinzwe diaspora yo muri Amerika, ku byo bagenda bakasabana n'abanyarwanda batuye mu ntara gatandatu nk'uko babivuga. So iyo urebye kuri twahoze tuvuga ko inguzanyo duha abantu ku giti cyabo byazamutse bigeze ku rugero rya 21%. Muri abo ngabo abenshi ni diaspora. Ko twabonye ko abantu bo muri diaspora, abanyarwanda bo muri diaspora kenshi baba bashaka gushora imari mu Rwanda bagura amazu cyangwa aho gutura. Bamwe batubwira ko bashaka kugura inzu bazasaziramo y'amasaziro. Ni portfolio tubona izamuka cyane, ahubwo iratuma portfolio yacu ya retail banking yaba abantu bikorera ba bankinga ku bwabo ku giti cyabo niyo the fastest growing subsegment. Of course tukorana n'abantu bakora muri companies zitandukanye biteza imbere bagura assets, amamodoka, amazu, ariko iyo turebye portfolio yacu ya diaspora igenda ikura cyane, bigatuma tunashaka gushyiramo imbaraga nyinshi muri diaspora ku buryo twazana abantu bo muri diaspora nabo bagashora imari mu Rwanda.
Murakoze. Nitwa Moses Kwishimwe, ndi umunyamakuru wa Royal FM. Bigaragara ko groupe yagize umusaruro mwiza muri iki gihembwe cya mbere. Yagize umusaruro mwiza aho amafaranga yinjijwe, niba narebye neza, yageze kuri n'amafaranga yavuye mu bikorwa yageze kuri miliyari zirenga 72. Ndibaza nk'umuturage ubyumva, hari intambara ibera muri Iran, hari intambara ibera muri Iran. Umuturage yakumva ngo hari ibibazo byinshi bitandukanye, ariko this was driven by what? Nubwo byagezweho, nubwo umusaruro ari mwiza, ariko se byaturutse he? Yego.
Murakoze kubaza kuko na mugenzi wanyu yahoze akibaza. Iyo ureba nk'ubukungu bw'u Rwanda umwaka ushize bwiyongeyeho 9.4%, 9.4 kw'ijana. Urumva uwo muvuduko ni umuvuduko ushimishije, turabyishimira kuko nko iyo urebye ibindi bihugu byo mu karere ntabwo bifite umuvuduko w'ubukungu umeze nk'u Rwanda. Iyo urebye na hano ugenda mu mujyi, umusaruro w'ubuhinzi ntabwo wagabanutse kubera ko habaye intambara muri Iran. Ibi projects nini nka airport ya Bugesera n'izindi projects hirya no hino ntabwo zigeze zihagarara. Ziragenda wenda zigira ibibazo kubera ko kuzana ibintu biturutse hanze bizatindaho gato, ariko izo projects nyinshi ntabwo zigeze zihagarara. Nk'ejo bundi twagize Africa CEO Forum, tourism ntabwo iraba affected. Ntituzi ibya Ebola byo mu karere uko bizatugendekera, ariko tourism mu Rwanda ntabwo yigeze ihagarara kuko hari intambara yabaye muri Iran. Ejo bundi Rwanda rwakiriye inama ikomeye cyane yo muri Afurika yitwa Africa CEO Forum, naza ko mubizi. Twanagize na BL, abantu benshi baturutse hirya no hino ku isi kuza kureba iyo mikino. Twumva ko dufite amahirwe nko mu Rwanda kuko dufite amahoro, ko dufite ibikorwa bya infrastructure biriho birubakwa, bituma tugira resilience. Ariko nanone ibibazo biri ku isi nibikomeza kuba binini bizatugiraho ingaruka. Ako ubu ngubu ntabwo turabona impact ikomeye cyane ku buryo business ya bank yaba affected, kandi twizeye ko bizakomeza kuba tuzakomeza nka economy kuba resilient. Nk'uko Dr. Oziel yabivuze, kugira ubudahangarwa, twizeye ko nka economy yacu, ubukungu bwacu buzakomeza gutera imbere nubwo bwose hari ibibazo ahandi ku isi.
If there are no more questions,
the rest one on my behalf, ni hanyuma nibazaga buri kuri end ya kuri buri quarter haba ari target. Turi kubona growth, but vis-a-vis to your target yabaye achieved cyangwa ni wenda mwaforinze short kuri target mufite ya quarter, mu mihigo ya quarter mwayigezeho cyangwa mwagiye musiga to ibyo byose twavugaga mwazamutse mwarayirenze where you with your target?
So we are very ambitious people. Akenshi target yacu iba ari kongera urwunguko kuri double digit 10%. Iyo ubona aho ukuntu byagenze iki gihembwe cya mbere nta nubwo tugeze kuri 7%, vuga ko turi munsi ya target yacu, ariko nanone dufite abantu bariho barakora. We are working hard to make sure we can meet our target. Okay.
So if there are no more questions, I think we have reached the end of our press conference. To close, I would like to invite the BK Group CEO for his final remarks, and a special thank you for joining us today.
I'd like to thank members of media for your time and for your participation, and also for sharing this information with your audience about the performance of BK Group. And also we welcome you anytime when you need any information on the banking business or from any of our subsidiaries. We are available to update you. Rero ndabashimira kandi mubeme n'abakiriya bacu kugira ngo ubushize twabigarutseho. Mujye mubaza ko ibikorwa bitera imbere, inyungu zizamuka, ariko nange mubifitemo uruhare nk'abakiriya, nk'abaguza, nk'ababitsa, nk'abakoresha, nk'abagura imigabane yacu. Ngira ngo ubushize twabigarutseho. Imirazamuka cyane ku buryo abantu barimo barayigura namwe ntimuzaburemo. Abashoramari barunguka. Uyu mwaka tuzatanga inyungu nyinshi ku banyamigabane, kandi si imigabane y'abantu bafite amikoro ahambaye gusa, ni y'abantu bose. Ku kiguzi kiri hafi kuri 600, iyi turacyari kuri 600. Umugabane ni 600, urumva ko mwese murabishoboye. Mugize icyo mwigomwa mukazigama mushora imari muri ibyo bikorwa, nabona inyungu. Dufite product nyinshi rero zirenze za banki, nko dufite ubwishingizi, dufite ikindi kigo cy'ishoramari cya BK Capital. Abo bose biteguye kuba service. Murakoze, tuzongere duhure mu gihembwe gitaha.